Like so many stories about Republican lawmakers lately, today there's another example of shocking but not at all surprising behavior. It has to do with our lead story from yesterday, that hours-long standoff between Capitol Police and a man who was charged this afternoon who claimed his pickup truck was rigged to blow. Shortly after he surrendered, focus turned to what he'd said on a Facebook live stream before and during the ordeal. Threatening language about health care and illegal immigration, plus a demand that President Biden resign. It appears to be an example of what the Department of Homeland Security warned us about just last week, a possible uptick in incidents of domestic terrorism. And while you or I or anyone with a fully functioning moral compass, for that matter, would wholeheartedly and unequivocally denounce any kind of behavior like that, Congressman Mo Brooks took a different path. In a statement of light condemnation, the Alabama lawmaker, a card-carrying member of the Sedition Caucus, who is currently seeking immunity in a court case having to do with his role in inciting the January 6th insurrection, described the suspect with a bit of sympathy, the way you might talk about a man who, I don't know, stole a loaf of bread or something. From his statement, quote, "Although this terrorist motivation is not yet publicly known, and generally speaking, I understand citizenry anger directed at dictatorial socialism and its threat to liberty, freedom, and the very fabric of American society. The way to stop socialism's march is for patriotic Americans to fight back in 2022 and 2024. His fellow Republican Congressman, Adam Kinzinger, called that part of the statement, quote, evil, saying the GOP has a decision to make. Are we going to be the party that keeps stoking sympathy for domestic terrorists and pushes out truth, or finally take a stand for truth? I've made my decision. So has Mo. Now it's up to GOP conference leadership to make theirs." Joining our conversation, Congressman Joe Neguse of Colorado. He's a member of the Judiciary Committee. Congressman, it's nice, I'm sure, to welcome Adam Kinzinger to the fight against the political depravity on the right. But I can answer his question for him, and I'm sure you can too. Kevin McCarthy, who still counts Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz as members in good standing after purging Liz Cheney from his leadership ranks, is not going to take a harsh position against Mo Brooks.
I think you're exactly right, Nicole. While I certainly agree with Adam, at the end of the day, I think that decision was made long ago by the House Republican leader, as you said, who has refused in the last 24 hours to condemn the remarks made by Representative Brooks, who, as you astutely noted, is not just simply a member of the House Republican caucus, but is a frontrunner for the Republican Senate nomination in the state of Alabama. And to see someone like Mo Brooks fan the flames yesterday, literally as law enforcement was working to defuse this situation and to yet again deal with a profound threat to the Capitol complex, is just incredibly dangerous. It's outrageous, and it should be condemned. But of course, I doubt that Kevin McCarthy will be condemning it anytime soon. This has become the norm as far as many of the members of the House Republican Conference are concerned.
And I wonder what, I mean, look, Republicans have been brutal critics of the current president and the decision to withdraw from Afghanistan, even though they were very muted when the last president had the exact same position and actually cut the deal to leave with the Taliban. But they're going to make, I would guess, having once been in that party, they're going to make this about threats to the homeland from a Taliban-run Afghanistan. How do you sort of stand for that intellectual dishonesty when we have an existing current publicly notified threat to the homeland from domestic violent extremists like this gentleman yesterday, who they seem to feel bad for?
Well, I agree with you, Nicole. I think it's completely intellectually dishonest. As you know, I'm the son of refugees, so to see the images that we've seen this last week in Afghanistan are really heartbreaking. I've always believed that the United States is at its best when we are a beacon of hope and of freedom and of liberty to the world. And that means honoring our promises and welcoming those who seek refuge. And so I'm not going to stand for those arguments as you articulated them. I think, I agree with Adam in the case of what happened yesterday. And obviously the bulletin that was issued by the Department of Homeland Security just last week, it really is a binary choice. I mean, are you going to stand to ultimately ensure that domestic terrorism does not metastasize here in the United States, or are you not going to do that? And I would hope that my colleagues would choose the former. It's a pretty clear choice to me, and I think to most Americans.